to G, I love it. I think I should have a walk-on music. I quite like Shawn Michaels when he was in wrestling. No, I'm not going to sing it. Anyway, massive night for Manchester United. Talking about contracts, real positivity as well as a little bit of negativity today. You know, it's a bit of a shit sandwich, to be honest with you. But look, I think if we'd gone into this transfer window and come out of it with Martial, Pogba and Martial signing new contracts, I think we would have said, leave the signings till the summer because they're 3 contract signings that are, you know, absolutely sensational. And the headline is that Paul Pogba wants to sign a new contract with Manchester United, which I will say is absolutely massive news for Manchester United. I would say it's not as big as De Gea because De Gea is a better player for us and hopefully Pogba will become that. It's not as big as Martial because Martial's the player that gets us on the edge of our seat. But when we signed Paul Pogba, my feeling when we got Pogba from Juventus was that he probably would only be here 3 or 4 years anyway. And then when he's about 27, 28, he'll go to Real Madrid or Barcelona. He's been here 3 years now. If we get him on another contract, he will be here into his late 20s. And that means he'll probably be here for the best years of his career. And if we get that Paul Pogba, that to me is massively exciting. Added into that 2 months ago, he was openly looking... Well, to be honest with you, since last January till about a month ago, he's been looking to openly leave Manchester United. And some people may be annoyed by that, but that was because of Jose Mourinho. Since Mourinho's gone, Pogba is now, according to a lot of sources today, let it be known that he wants to sign a new contract at Manchester United, which I think is absolutely massive considering we are still in 6th. We are still a long way from a title, but you've got a player there, one of the best midfielders in the world, I believe, wanting to commit to Manchester United because of the changes that have been made. And that is a very, very big positive. Now, I'm not going to paper over the cracks here. There are a lot of cracks at Manchester United, and there are still a lot of Manchester United fans who, I think, aren't made up about Pogba. I still think there's a lot of reluctant fans who go, yeah, I like him, I'm waiting for him to trip up. Because there has been a lot of venom towards Pogba quite recently. You know, a lot of people sided with Mourinho over Pogba. But what isn't in doubt is that when you get the best out of Pogba, like we have done over the last month, you do get one of the best midfielders in Europe. And the fact that he wants to sign a new contract with us is massive on 2 levels. 1, because you get to keep Paul Pogba. But 2, because his agent, who is also, well, he's not as bad as Pogba, his agent is somewhat, I would say, what's the nice word? Divisive. In the world of football. Sir Alex Ferguson had words to say about him, Mino Raiola. But the interesting thing is, if we are negotiating with Mino Raiola to get Paul Pogba on a new contract, Mino Raiola is also the agent for De Ligt, Manolas, Lozano, amongst others, top players that maybe Manchester United might be looking at in the summer. So that's an interesting thing as well. But Paul Pogba to sign a new contract is definitely music to the ears. Happy Days says Ricky916, and Purple Patch says Rashford, De Gea, Pogba and Martial are the most important. And it's funny. It's funny because they are the 4 players that are looking to sign new contracts with Manchester United. I mean, whether we'll get them all, I don't know. But if we get all 3, that would be absolutely fantastic. Verratti as well. You're right, Elliot Cole. He is also a client of Mino Raiola. So very, very interesting. And I think whatever you say about anything, there is positives going on around Manchester United at the moment. I'm forever saying that we are picking up a lot of 15, 16-year-olds, and we've been doing that for a few years now. You know, if we sign 20 of them, surely, they're always touted as the next big thing. Surely 2 or 3 of them are going to be the next big thing. So we've got that to be excited about. You've got Greenwood, Chong, Gomez to be excited about. And you've got, obviously, retaining... You know, if you retain world-class talents like De Gea, Pogba, Martial, Rashford, you're doing something right. So that's the positive things I want to talk about. And De Gea put out a tweet today with his eyes on something. He is surely going to announce his contract soon. And I think that's the one we're all very excited about. And as I said the other night, when you've got a goalkeeper getting the excitement that De Gea gets, it shows you how great he's been for us over the years. So that is imminent as well. I want to talk about the Martial one in a minute because there are a few sort of issues with the Martial one. That's probably the most precarious one, I suppose. But Gustavo Cortez says, did you see Jose Mourinho on BN Sports talking trash about United? Look, I think Mourinho needs to stay part of the conversation. I totally disagree with these clowns saying, Mourinho, we're not mentioning Mourinho anymore, let's not talk about Mourinho anymore. I think that is such a naive and petulant argument to have. I understand why people don't want to talk about Mourinho because they want to move on, but there are a lot of lessons about Mourinho that we will need to keep coming back to over the next couple of years. We did it with Van Gaal, we still do it with Moyes. The best thing about anything in life is looking back at past mistakes and reminding yourself of those mistakes. And Mourinho is certainly one of those. Quite interestingly, and maybe this is a bit harsh, and Mark Cooper's quite rightly brought it in, McTominay's a new deal should be the headline. I would never, ever, 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 ever have Scott McTominay signs a new contract as a headline on a United Stand show. No way. It's not going to happen. I would fight it with the board, man, because I'm just not having it. But seriously, one of the bad things I think Jose Mourinho did, funnily enough, was use Scott McTominay as a pawn of... not in a pawn, used him as a pawn, as in a game of chess, not a pawn. And basically what he did is he went to the youth setup, he found somebody who was 6'3" and said, you're going to be my youth player. I'm actually going to take the absolute piss out of the Manchester United awards ceremony and give you Player of the Year award, despite you only playing about 2 or 3 times. And you are going to be the player that I hold up as I play the youth. Look at me, I generate and I play the youth. The ridiculous thing about McTominay and Mourinho was that McTominay is just not the best youth player that we've got. He wasn't last season and he's not now. There's loads of other players that Mourinho could have gone for, but he went for McTominay because it was about lip service. It was about, I play the youth. Who in the youth is massive, because that's the sort of hoofball tactics I want to play, and that's why he went with McTominay. But Mourinho's gone now, so we don't need to moan about that. But what's happened today is Scott McTominay has been given a 5-year contract at Manchester United. 5-year contract, 2023. He's got a contract till. He's 22 years of age. He has got a contract at Manchester United for his prime years. And my only thing I would say about this is he must be brilliant in training. And I'm not joking. That's not a joke. That's got to be true. Because Michael Carrick's at that club, Mike Phelan's at that club, Sir Alex Ferguson's at that club, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's at that club. We've got a great squad. Do you think we'd have somebody part of our first team squad if they were total shit in training? I don't think so. I don't know what his best position is. I don't know what he's good at. I've watched him play lots of games and I've not seen him have a good game yet. I don't know whether he doesn't seem to be very good in the air. He doesn't seem to have much of a passing range. He's not particularly quick. His shooting's not very good. But he must be very good at all those things in training. And I say that with a serious face. I'm not digging the lad out here. He's come through our youth setup since he was about 8 years of age. He's exactly the sort of player that you want to do well. But I just see... There was this player, Ian Ormondroyd. People won't know who he is. But I just see like a Peter Crouch in midfield. That's all I see. And, you know, Peter Crouch has got good elements to his game. But I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I also would say, what has he done? I mean, this is like we've signed. This is like Paul Scholes or Gerrard at Liverpool when they were 22, and you get them on a 5-year contract. Yes, we've pinned down one of the best young midfielders in the world. I don't know what he's done to earn a 5-year contract. And as I say, I'm not having a go at the lad here. I'm speaking genuinely. I don't know what he's done to deserve Player of the Year last year and to get a 5-year contract this year. He's hardly played this season. We've hardly seen him. Even Mourinho didn't use him this season. I don't know what he's done. He must be absolutely the Scottish Messi in training. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I do not understand why we've given him a 5-year contract. It makes no sense. I've not seen... And look, it isn't even harsh. This is football. If somebody's not good enough, you say it. It's nothing to do with the human element. We're supporting a football club here. And if somebody's good enough, they're good enough. And I've supported United for decades. And I've seen players come through the youth setup and go, they're never going to be good enough. Kieran Richardson, never going to be good enough. You know, get rid of him. He was a good player, but never going to be good enough for United. McTominay, I've just seen nothing in him. I don't know what he's all about, and that's all I can say. My concern is, and I've got to say this, my concern is that, I mean, George Ramos says, why do you hate Scott McTominay so much? He's only a young lad. You give praise to other young players, but not him. I think I've just explained that comment, George. Thanks for the contribution. I do dislike that statement. Why do you hate Scott McTominay? I think you've shown yourself up to be quite immature there, with all due respect, because I dislike that in society in general. When somebody disagrees with something or is critical of something, somebody classes you as a hater. It's really immature to say that. Life, I don't know whether it's a modern phenomenon, but if you like something, it doesn't mean you're in love with it. And if you dislike something, it doesn't mean you hate it. It's just an opinion. And as I said, he must be genuinely brilliant in training, because I've not seen anything on a football pitch. And when you talk about other youth players, Chong, I've seen something in him. Greenwood, I've seen something in him. Gomez seen something in him. Even Fosu Mensah's not doing particularly. I don't know whether Fosu Mensah's got a future at United, but I've seen stuff in him. I've seen what his attributes are. Twansibi. The trouble I have with McTominay is I don't see anything in him yet, and hopefully we are going to see it because there's absolutely no reason not to want him to be successful. He's from our youth setup. He loves the club. He seems like a nice lad, but I don't judge players on their personality. I judge them on what they do on the pitch, and at the moment, I and many others are a little bit confused by this deal. And my concern with this deal is this. Ollie's doing great. We're signing people on new contracts. Ndombele is available from Lyon. He is the same age as Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay has had less appearances for Manchester United than me. That's a joke, but he's not had many appearances. Ndombele is the same age and he's playing for Lyon. He's been playing elsewhere, first team football. That's another thing as well. He's not 17. He's 22 years of age. At 22 years of age, what was Pogba doing, Gerrard doing, Lampard doing? They're obviously top midfielders, but let's go down a level. At 22 years of age, what was Scott Parker doing, Mark Noble doing, Robbie Savage doing? Mediocre Premier League midfielders. At 22, they're still playing regular first-team football. He's a 22-year-old lad who can't even get on our bench. It doesn't make any sense to me. But what concerns me is this a sign of what our club is doing? Whereby instead of building a squad good enough to win a title, we're cutting corners and saving money and retaining mediocre youth players to have a squad that is cheap. Because his contract won't be much. He's not going to be on 100 grand a week. I bet he's on, well, God knows what he's on, but he won't be on 100 grand a week. So he's a cheap utility midfielder player, isn't he? And I want to shift this away from McTominay because, it's a very happy day for him and congratulations to him. But obviously I'm talking as a Man United fan who wants us to win titles. And I just think, is this the board now saving money in other elements so they can pay De Gea the money, they can pay Pogba the money, so you've got your headline stars in the team, but beyond that you've got a squad of mediocre players that are cheap. You haven't got to pay a signing on fee, the wages are relatively cheap. I don't know. Matthew McFadden says Jose is Dr. Frankenstein and McTominay is his monster, a reflection of Mourinho, defensive, basic and mundane. Hope he does well but can't see it. Well, look, I think we need to move away from that because Mourinho obviously had this McTominay obsession, but the 5-year contract is not on Mourinho's watch. They could have ripped that up. They could have said no. So they've done it. So, I think that I think there's something in the lad. I really do. And I hope that we're going to see it because why would we do it? Why would we do it? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Big D says, sorry, but he's not good enough for United. He's not at the moment, but maybe he's going to be a late bloomer. And he's got to be a late bloomer, by the way, because he's 22. McTominay is not a United player. He's not good enough. Do you think they're saving their money for Poch? Says Williams. McTominay sounds like a nice lad, but he's not good enough to win the league with, says Kieran McCrory. I hope he proves us all wrong. I really hope he proves us all wrong. Richard Jackson says, I love Martial, but you're absolutely wrong on this, Mark. Pogba is the most important outfield player on United, bar none. When Pogba plays well, United tends to win and perform well and vice versa. Well, Richard, I'm clearly not wrong, and you're clearly not wrong. You're just expressing your opinion that Pogba's the most important player in a United team for you. I think you're wrong, but your opinion is right to you. I think David De Gea is our most important player because he saves... Look at that Spurs game last week. Yeah, Pogba had a good 60 minutes, then he faded. If De Gea hadn't had a good 90 minutes, we wouldn't have won the game. And I think De Gea has proved over the last 5 years that he is our most important player. Most important outfield player, which is what you said. Well, Pogba at the moment is. For the last month he has been, but he hasn't been for the last 2.5 years, has he? So it's quite a sporadic thing to say that. I hope you're right. I hope Pogba does become our focal point of the team. And I think you're right. He's got the potential to do that. But Martial and Rashford, to me, are my two favourite United players. So I'm going to be biased because they're the only two players that we've got who genuinely get me off my seat. I like Pogba. And, there's very few midfielders that have ever got me off my seat. I mean, Zidane did. Gascoigne did. I think Pogba can. I like to see Pogba running at people. I'd like to see him develop that side of his game because he's certainly got it in his locker. But when Martial gets the ball and Rashford get the ball, they can make things happen. And they're my favourite players. That's why I say those. In fairness to you. But it's all about opinion. Of course it is. Let's talk about Martial for a moment because there was something that came out today. I forget where it came from. But apparently the Martial contract has dragged on for a long time. And it's all to do with Alexis Sanchez for two reasons. One... obviously United have been offering Martial a contract for the last 18 months and he's not signed it. A lot of that is rumoured to be because of the wages that he the whole package that he wants. But in the last year, a lot of it's been to do with, quite rightly, Sanchez was signed. He wasn't getting game time. He wasn't getting the development. So it doesn't matter how much money you're paid by a club. If you're not going to play, that becomes a problem. Obviously, recently, Martial's contract is looking more like it's going to be signed because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in a very obvious way, has put a lot of faith in Martial and Rashford and Lingard, which is great to see. So hopefully that's going to happen. But the other stumbling block, which goes back to the McTominay thing, and are we trying to bulk our squad up with cheap players that we don't have to sign, that are already part of the squad, that we can use as utility players? It's very expensive for United at the moment. Very expensive indeed, because I think they made the stupidest decision they ever made last January. I think Sanchez can come good, but the decision we made to bring him to the club has caused the club a lot of problems. Let's say Alexis Sanchez is rumoured to be on 400, 500 grand a week, but let's say he's on 350 grand a week, because we know he's the best paid player in the Premier League, and I think the next best player is around 325. I think it's a Man City player, if I remember rightly. So let's say that Sanchez is on £350,000 a week. Pogba gets a new contract, he's going to want at least that. De Gea gets a new contract, he's going to want more than that, quite rightly. Martial wants a new contract, he's going to say, well, Alexis Sanchez is shit, I want 350 grand a week. This is the rod that United have created by signing Alexis Sanchez, and this is a problem with, this is, I believe, why everybody's contracts are taking a long time. And I think Pogba will sign a new contract, but if you think about how long we've been talking about De Gea's going to sign a new contract, Martial's going to sign a new contract, I think it's going to be very, very protracted, because all our top players now, and we've only got about 4 or 5 who can say this, to be fair, will say, Alexis Sanchez is on 350 grand a week. What's he done for a year? Scored a header against Spurs at the FA Cup semi-final. Walked his dogs. What has he done? And I like Sanchez and I want him to come good. But I think that is the problem that United have. Whether we should have signed Sanchez or not, I don't want to go down that route, but it certainly disrupted the wage structure, and that's why all our contracts are taking a long time. But I'm confident now. I think we will get Martial over the line. Remember, we're a business, though. We are crap at transfers. We take ages because we haggle. That's why we'll never go to Napoli and go, what do you want? And give them 100 million for Koulibaly tomorrow. We won't. We'll go opening bid 10 million, and we'll take all summer, next summer, trying to do it. And that's why we take so long with contracts. And that's why many contracts are running out in the summer. Nicholas P, my worry is all our top players want 500k to match Sanchez. That deal really distorted expectations in the team. You know what? In fairness, Nicholas P put that comment up a while ago. And I've just then gone and pretty much said the same thing. So I think he's spot on. Please do drop a like on the video, everybody. What I wanted to talk about next was the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing, and obviously a lot of us want him to be Manchester United's next manager, but he's come out and spoke about Sir Alex Ferguson. I want to sort of correct something I said last week because it's got more clarity now. I'd said last week that Sir Alex Ferguson is obviously having a lot of involvement behind the scenes, because Ole had said that he's invited him down over Christmas, and then last week he quoted him seeing Giuseppe Rossi score a goal. So it was, to me, it was obvious that Sir Alex Ferguson is down at training quite regularly. Well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said that's not the case. He's only invited him down once, and he's been down to see Giuseppe Rossi. So it looks like he's only been down a couple of times. And I think that is basically just the point that Sir Alex Ferguson's not pulling the strings behind the scenes. I think he's a mentor, and Ole wanted to clarify that he is a mentor, but he's more a mentor not because he's coming down and getting involved now, but for the 17 years that he played under him at Manchester United. So I don't think he played under him for 17 years. I don't know where the 17 years has come from, but for the years he played under Sir Alex Ferguson, that's where his sort of mentorship has come from. So, I think that's a good thing, because it also is very important that we don't misinterpret what's going on and start thinking, Ole is just Sir Alex's puppet and Sir Alex is back behind the scenes, and it's very important that we don't think that. And also, I wish this hadn't come out at the end of the show last night. This is really important as well. I think many of us have fell into this trap of thinking that, well, we've got to get top 4 or we've got to win the Champions League for Ole to get the job. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. And I said this last night, and I'll say it again, and at least it's not towards the end of the show, and it's more near the start. When Jurgen Klopp took over Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool, I'm pretty sure it was in October time, and they were around mid-table. They might not have even been that low, actually. That season, I think they finished 8th. He didn't make any big headway from where he inherited Liverpool. There was a lot of work that needed doing. Now, Liverpool fans are in love with Klopp. There's no punchline there. There's no sort of connotations they want to sleep with him or anything like that. I'm saying they love Klopp as a manager. Fine, crack on. But what I'm saying is, Ollie came in December. Klopp came in October. Klopp still only managed to get 8th. Ollie, well, right, was still in 6th, but he could get his second. He could get his 3rd. He could get his 4th, which is an amazing achievement in a short period of time. And I'm starting to sort of think now that what we need to think is top 4 the thing that Ollie's got to do to get the job? It might be for Woodward. It might be for the board of Manchester United. But as a fan base, have we got to be a little bit cleverer? Have we got to be a little bit vocal about this? You know, the fact that especially the fans at home and away, and especially the communities around, the social medias, which I'm sure they're in contact with and they keep an eye on. If we do miss out on top 4 because we just miss out, but we keep playing this way and maybe, you know, we just didn't get the players in January, we get a few injuries, he's unlucky and he just misses out on top 4, but the football and the way he's running the club is great, then I still think we should still be saying in May, well, we want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as our manager because this last 6 months has been the best 6 months we've ever had. And yeah, we might be going into the Emmerdale Cup, but we want to keep building under Ollie's vision. And I think that is very, very important. And again, I think that Liverpool example is a good example because Klopp came in the October. We only got Ollie in December. And he didn't get them in the top 4. He could have done. October, the season's only just started. He didn't manage to do it. Yes, he had a big rebuild to do. And yes, he had an opportunity in January to sign players and sell players. Ollie's not been given that yet. So I think it's a good barometer if you are pro-Ollie. I don't think he needs to get top 4. It's more about what he does. Raphael Bex says, I don't think we should give Pogba a new contract because he isn't 100%. You feel me, cuz? I'm sorry, but it is what it is, Playboy. Well, Raphael, I think there are people out there who still aren't totally happy with Pogba. There are still fans out there who think he's a bit of a player. There are some people out there that don't like the dancing. I wonder what fatherhood's going to do to him, actually. That can be, as somebody who's had kids myself, it can be a great grounder. It can, you know, make your outlook change. That might be it. That might be something. But I think that's all a byproduct of the modern sort of thing. I mean, you look at Jesse Lingard, the video he put out last week in the car singing and dancing. I found it mildly cretinous, I'll be honest with you. I like Jesse Lingard. I just wouldn't like anybody singing songs in a car like that. I think it comes across as massively cringy. Having said that, my kids and my nephew at the christening I was at yesterday, they were playing the clip. They love it. Loads of people love it. And actually, I don't really care what he does. I don't care if he ski boards naked at the weekend. I'm not bothered. As long as he doesn't break any laws, I'm not bothered. What I'm bothered about is what he does in a Manchester United shirt. Because when I was growing up, and maybe my equivalent of a Jesse Lingard in my early teens was a Roy Keane for crunching tackles. It was just a different world. We didn't have social media. We didn't know what Roy Keane was doing. I doubt Roy Keane was in his car singing female pop songs, but it didn't matter because I didn't see it. It was all about what's on the pitch. Footballers these days are in a world we've never experienced. They're in a world where 24/7, like Lukaku was playing a game of FIFA today on his Instagram. Missed every shot he had. But he had a bag of Sainsbury's with him. But no, seriously, you know, footballers are more engaged socially now. They're brands away from the pitch. And if you want to engage in that and like it, great. If you don't like it, great. But realistically, I don't think we should be hating players for what they're like off the pitch. I think it's what they do on the pitch that really matters. Ted Zavala, hey Mark, enjoying all your channels, subscribe to all, and I'm a faithful watcher. Keep it up. That reminds me, actually, Going for Goldbridge will be up at midday on my channel tomorrow, which is the Mark Goldbridge channel. This isn't Discord tonight, Man United Herbert. I've totally bloody forgot about that, and thanks for reminding me. It should have been a Discord show tonight. It was never going to be a Discord show, to be fair, and it's a good job it wasn't, because it wouldn't have been anyway, because you can't get 25 minutes into the show and then say let's take the calls, because that's not fair. But Discord will be tomorrow night. I've had to jig a few things round because I'm off to London tomorrow to do some stuff with Arsenal Fan TV for the game on Friday night. So we've got a big day tomorrow in London, which means I've got to do a few things tonight before I go, which means I haven't got time to do a long Discord show. So it will happen tomorrow night when I get back. The only game time Lukaku will be getting on FIFA, says D Ghost. Liam Miller says, Mark, it's just my opinion, but I think we should pile the pressure on Ollie to see how he handles it. I would love for him to be here next year, just to make it clear. I sort of get what you're getting at, Liam. I think it's a very good point as well. I don't think the fans will pile the pressure on Ollie in a fake way and start booing him and stuff like that. And I don't think that's what you mean. I think the pressure will come naturally. You can't hide from the fact that we're playing PSG home and away, and they're one of the favourites for the Champions League. And they're the favourites. So that is a tough game. You can't hide the fact that we've got to play Arsenal on Friday, which is a tough game. You can't hide the fact that we've still got to play Chelsea, Liverpool and City, and they're going to be tough games. So the challenges are there. The pressure is there. Unless he walks away, which he's not going to do, he will get the test that we need. So I agree with you on that. Sebastian Anderson says, Ole is much a fan of the club as a manager. When he was here in Norway, it was the only thing he dreamt of. I mean, come on, what more do we expect? We haven't played this good since the days of Sir Alex Ferguson. I think he's spot on. And I think these things are very, very important. I also think that it's going to be very, very interesting when Forethought says, Scott, 5 years, what the fuck? I think a lot of people felt that this afternoon, to be fair. But I think that it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when we lose a game. Because we will lose a game. It's not going to be interesting to see when we have a bad game. Because I would argue we've already had a bad game. I think we were bad at the weekend. And I think we were bad, obviously, in the Cup game. Although that was the reserves. But when we lose a game, it's going to be interesting to see how he comes back. And to be honest with you, part of me is quite excited about that. Obviously, nobody wants to lose. I'd rather we win every single game and he'll get the job. But when we do lose a game, we're going to learn something else about Ollie as well. So that will be an interesting thing. I wouldn't say exciting, but it will be interesting. Lando Calrissian says, the other day on the transfer show, it said Sanchez, maybe it's the Tottenham defender. Thoughts about him? Yeah, I think it actually was a mistake with the Sanchez thing. But I doubt we'd be signing Devon. We won't get anyone out of Spurs. They've got such injury problems at the moment. I doubt we'll get anyone. This January sucks, says Adil Patel. It's not over yet, mate. There's still 10 days of this transfer window left. And as long as something happens, whether it's new signings of contracts, kicking a couple of players out the door, or even dream, we actually sign somebody, I think if we do nothing in this transfer window, I will be very, 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 very frustrated. I mean, the bottom line for me is, an average person says invincible for 2019. That would be great, and thanks for the contribution, Ben Carvoso. But I've got to be totally honest here and say that this Manchester United team, I want to get your feedback on this. Do you think, hand on heart, this United team, even playing to everybody playing to their best potential, it's good enough to win the title? Because I don't. I don't. And I know Mourinho was shit. And I know Van Gaal was crap. And I know Moyes was a nightmare. But I still think all three of those managers didn't actually get the clear out and the players that they deserved. Because our board are always trying to save money. And I think Ollie could be the next best manager in the world. I don't think Sir Alex Ferguson, prime Sir Alex Ferguson, could win the title with his team. I think he could have done in certain years of his Premier League era. But against this Man City and Liverpool team, I don't think the best prime Sir Alex Ferguson could get this team to win the title. For the simple reason, half of it is very good and half of it is probably fourth place standard. And I don't need to go through each individual position, but we need a top-class right midfielder, we need a mobile CDM, and we need a top-class centre-back straight away. We potentially even need a backup striker for Rashford, because I tell you what, when Lukaku's come on recently, he ain't a sub-striker, is he? He is if you give him an easy chance, but he ain't a sub-striker who can come on and hold the ball up and get everyone in the game. I think Lukaku, you've got to play him from the start or not at all. So, look, even if Pogba's world-class, De Gea's world-class, Martial's world-class, Rashford's world-class, Lindelof's world-class, Luke Shaw's world-class, I still think there's 4 or 5 positions in that team that are not quite good enough to win as a title. And that's my personal opinion. Rasmus Carlson says Simon Kjær, Sevilla and Denmark captain as our new centre-back. I'd be open to a centre-back like that coming in. Dark Pass says Fergie won it with Cleverley, Anderson, Jones and Evans. Yeah, you didn't listen to what I said, did you? I said this team in certain Premier League seasons that Sir Alex Ferguson had could win the title. But I'm talking about this season against that Man City team and that Liverpool team. I don't think Sir Alex Ferguson could win the title with this United team against that opposition. Sir Alex Ferguson won loads of titles and sometimes the competition wasn't actually that good. That's my thought. That's my thoughts. If you disagree with it, that's fine. I think we're a few players short, and I felt that for a long time. And I think actually it's been fair to Ollie. I don't think any manager could win the title with this set of players. I think we're about 70% of the way there. Troy Francis is laughing at me saying Luke Shaw world class. It's about opinion, mate. I personally think that Luke Shaw's got the potential to be a world class left back by the time he hits his peak years of 25. Half the players would not be United players under Sir Alex Ferguson, says Michael Jones. And it makes me laugh. I love this agenda of against Luke Shaw because he's won the Player of the Month twice this season. What are you laughing at? He's won Player of the Month twice this season. We've only had 5 months, so what are you laughing at? Seriously, what are you laughing at? What's your point? I don't get the joke. I don't get the hate. I don't get why people are having to go at his weight. I don't get why people are calling him crap. I don't get it. You're meant to be a Manchester United fan. He's won Player of the Month two months this season. Playing very, very well. And you can say, well, you've not been very complimentary about Fellaini. Well, how many times has he won Player of the Month this year? How many times has he played well this year? You know, it's all relevant. I judge people on their performances on a football pitch. I don't know what you're judging Luke Shaw on. Yeah, he's not been brilliant the last few weeks, but most of the season he's been absolutely fantastic. Stephen Featley, did you see my tweet on AFTV interview about raising awareness of liver disease and organ donation? If so, could you share with the United Stand community? I didn't, Stephen, but I think organ donation is very, very important. Well, it's all a personal opinion, but obviously donor cards in the UK you can get. So if anything happens to you, your organs can be given to other people and help save lives. So if that's important to you, some people don't even think about it. I'd never thought about it, and then I did sign up to it, and it was only because I'd never thought about it. So it is a good thing. Some people don't want to do it. That's your opinion, but you know, it is a very, very good cause, and it does save lives. It does save lives. Did you see United dropping off if we don't improve our team and we gradually get older? Says Harvey Fierick. It's a tough question to answer. I said this with Mourinho back in September. Before I went Mourinho out, I did say, regardless of the tactics that Mourinho is playing and they're not good enough, I still think we're £300 million away from being a title-winning side. And I said that with Mourinho. So I'm still going to say it with Ollie. And you know, obviously the football was crap under Mourinho, and obviously under Ollie it's fantastic. But I still think with £300 million worth of talent coming in, and that means retaining what we've got apart from the deadwood. Sebastian Anderson sure has great potential. He's still young and he's played well so far, to be honest. I totally agree with you, mate. Maybe Ollie signed McTominay for mould, says Marky. And watch McTominay turn into prime Pirlo, says Jack Coleman. Well, I'd love to see it happen. I wouldn't put a bet on it, but I'd love to see it happen. Does it concern you that our defence produces the least amount of offence, goals and assists in the top 6? Mr. Johnson. Well, it's a difficult one because I think Chris Smalling does score and get a few goals because he's a threat in the penalty box. And I think we miss... If you've got Jones and Lindelof, they could go up and stand in a corner on their own. And, you know, the referee could say no one's allowed to defend. Get off the pitch, opposition, apart from the goalkeeper. We still wouldn't score with Jones and Lindelof. So you've got to have a centre-back who's a threat in the air. We haven't got that at the moment. So that's why our centre-backs aren't getting involved in goals, because they're not good in the air. And they only go up for corners. So you've got to be good in the air, or you've got to be reactive from the ball dropping down into your path. The full-backs have got to do better. Ashley Young is basically a crap fullback, but he's a good winger. So when he can get forward, he can put a cross in, to be fair. Valencia, you'd be waiting all year for him to put a decent cross in. Luke Shaw and Dalot, I believe that they have got the capability to put a decent cross in and start, and I think they need to bring that to their game. Yeah. So, you know, but I think, you know, we're only a month into a new journey. Did it surprise you that our defenders have got crapper stats under Mourinho? Well, how many times did they cross the halfway line, you know? Ben Carvalso, players these days acting like clowns on social media. Dancing is cringy, but if they deliver, back in the day, we're in the pub and we were still savage. There we go. I think it's all about what we do on the pitch. I think Lindelof is good. He is the past 3 games he's been flicking headers, says Abelaf Shuri. Yeah, but it's not really what Lindelof's game's all about, is what I mean. We need a dominant centre-back. Ricky916, I know it was different circumstances, but if Leicester City can win the league, we can as well. Must stay positive. Again, I totally agree with you, Ricky. It's your opinion, but I do actually disagree with you because that season was shit. The Premier League that year was, I mean, Leicester wouldn't win the league this year, and they wouldn't have won it last year. The last 2 years, if you want to win the league, you've got to be a bloody good team, and probably next year as well. Leicester wouldn't have won the league last year or this year. They just wouldn't. They caught it at the right time, and they totally, it was amazing. It was an absolute fairy tale, but you can't use that argument at the moment. Well, if Leicester can win the league, we can. No, it's a different world now. The quality of the teams that are going for the title are on another level to what that Leicester team had to go against. How can we sell Lukaku? He's devalued so much, says what, Mark Whitten. Good point. Patrick says that I would love Maguire at MUFC. I don't see Harry Maguire coming to Manchester United for one very big reason. He signed a new contract and Leicester would want 80 million. And if you're spending 80 million on Harry Maguire, you just may as well go and get Koulibaly or Skriniar because they're better. If you could sign one right midfielder, who would it be? Says Matthew Swatton. There's a lot out there. There's a lot of contenders out there. I don't know. It wouldn't be Douglas Costa. I like Leon Bailey. He's playing in Germany. I think is he at Leverkusen now? But it's not a position I've thought a lot about. If you talk to me about CDM, because I think that's really important, I've got a few. If you talk to me about centre-back, I've got a few. The right midfielder is definitely a position we need. But I still am a firm believer. Why do we not play Alexis Sanchez there? He's hard-working. He's right-footed. I cannot understand why. We never bring him on there and we never start him there. It's really weird. There must be something in his contract that said, I'm not playing on the right wing. Because he only ever plays on the left. It's really weird. Sebastian Anderson says, imagine if we signed Sergio Ramos. A few years ago, yes, but not now for me. Not now for me. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I've got to go and do some stuff to get ready for this trip to London town. I'll probably be doing some videos tomorrow actually, so make sure you subscribe if you're new, bottom right hand corner. Drop a like and get your comments in if you have been watching live, or if you've not, get your comments in below. Lots of things have been discussed. I've really enjoyed the show. Obviously, I'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock live. We've got Transfer Daily at 7 AM and we've got Flex and Rants at 1 PM. So loads going on. Make sure you... maybe keep an eye on my Instagram tomorrow at Mark Goldbridge, because I will be in London town at some very interesting places, and there may be even a cheeky video going live. So keep your eye out. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for all the conversation. I've really enjoyed it, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Tap was just Lozano. Lozano is the one. Yeah, Lozano would be the one for me. Talking about Mino Raiola again. Yeah, I love Lozano. I would love Lozano. Yeah, he would be the one. Like I said, I don't really give that position much thought. But yeah, Lozano wins. Thanks. Anyway, have a good evening. Speak to you all soon. You're all stars, and I really enjoyed tonight. I hope you did as well.